the nice folks at Literacy said, listen, let's do some webinars and get some of the folks that couldn't attend or the panel or couldn't attend US Cal. So here we are.
We had great attendance in spite of it being on the last day, bright and early in the morning.
Exactly.
So there was a lot of interest in what we're doing and the potential for having a partnership with the members.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot it was that last day, that dreaded last day. But we did well. Why don't we get into it? And a little bit about us. We're the Home Builders Institute, but you'll see on the top of this page of the National Association of Home Builders. We are affiliated with the National Association of the Home Builders, and what that means is we're affiliated with 140,000 members of NAHB, as it's traditionally known. NAHB is a trade association that represents the U.S. residential construction industry. So remodeling, home building, construction trades, seniors housing, multifamily housing like apartments and condos. And it's the largest trade association representing the residential construction sector here in the U.S. And how we do that, or how NAHB does that, is through 800 local and state affiliates. So let's say you're in Boise, Idaho, and you're a builder there, or a remodeler, or supplier to the industry. You join your local Home Builders Association. So it may be the Boise area HBA, Home Builders Association. There's an association that's honestly usually a legislative or lobbying arm for the industry, and then part of that membership also connects to NAHB, which are in Washington. So what's nice is that we have tentacles in so many of the communities across the country. I would venture to say, I think it's probably guaranteed that all the members of Pro-Literacy that are on the call today are represented by a Home Builders Association in that community. So, in fact, maybe you know of them. So that's an important fact for how we'll describe our programming. There are three organizations that are affiliates of NAHB. There's the Research Center, NAHB Research Center, and they do sort of research, development, testing on new building products and techniques. There's the National Housing Endowment, which is a philanthropic arm, and they have a particular focus in helping to develop programs in colleges and universities to encourage young people to study in residential construction. And there's us, and we call ourselves sort of NAHB's workforce development arm. So we'll go ahead and advance to the next slide. Industry makeup. I talked a little bit about. You see that in that picture right there. Students. We have student members. We have an NAHB student chapters program that HBI actually manages, and that's at high schools, colleges, and universities around the country. You can be a builder, a small builder, a large builder. You can be associate member, which is a supplier, or any sort of service, ancillary service that is connected to the industry, like a bank, a supplier like like lumber, whether it be lumber or a trade contractor or Lowe's or Home Depot, those sorts of things. So a little bit of chemistry behind NAHB. You hear, well, actually, this is a good slide. Dennis is I don't think you see a picture of me, but Dennis is the person on the right of this particular slide. So that gives you some sort of visual reference to us. The residential industry, no surprise, I'm sure, to the folks on the phone here. It's a challenging time for the last 4 to 6 years, but they're still building and they're certainly still remodeling. And the industry is, we're seeing signs of a comeback. So, it represents 2.5% of the U.S. Gross domestic product, and I would say that the news articles that you see day in and day out about our industry and our economy, they're tied together. I mean, homebuilding is a vital part of the U.S. economy, and it's the industry is starting to come back, and the economic prospects of the country right now are looking a little bit more positive. It is good news, and we were in that climate.
In the middle is Bob Wilson, and he's representative of the membership of NAHB, and he's actually immediate past president or past chairman of the National Association of Home Builders. He's a builder in Reno, Nevada.
Yeah. So, just to back up what I was saying in terms of the strength of the industry, in the heady years of the industry, the boom times in the industry, over 100 million, over 1 million new single-family homes were built. The downturn has probably reduced that number to about 500,000 across the country. We're talking nationwide statistics in terms of new home starts. We're hovering around 500,000, but the fact of the matter is family formations are such that there's a lag in housing right now in terms of new construction. Population indices are changing. Demographics are changing. We have baby boomers aging into senior-oriented housing or living needs. So there's not enough supply, if you will. So you see some great improvements in the industry over the next several years. But that hasn't put us. I mean, HBI, you'll learn a bit more about our programming shortly. We train folks to come to the industry. We work with at-risk populations, many of which, you serve, and we're able to place these young people into jobs, young people and adults in jobs. We have 80% placement rate, even in these trying times in the industry. So, the industry is an economic recovery engine, and we're seeing signs of that. The fact of the matter is that there's, even in these challenging times, there's a shortfall of work. We don't have enough workers coming into our industry. We don't have enough, carpenters, electricians, plumbers, facilities maintenance technicians. We need those young people, and adults, because we're dealing with an adult population here, to choose their careers in our industry, and there's a place for that. So, a manpower talent survey last August, and it's been updated since. Labor availability is a top concern, and in fact, finding skilled workers like carpenters and electricians is difficult around the country. Workers have left our industry because of the downturn. So as the industry improves, we need to find these workers and train them, and that's what we're all about. So we'll get into the core of what we do. HBI is our entire focus is workforce training. So we work with members. We respond to their labor needs. We provide individuals with skill training to help them in the communities where they live, and to build a better life for themselves, to build a livelihood for themselves. And we support those local home builder association efforts to connect with their local communities. And I think that's where the sweet spot is in terms of the relationship with the pro-literacy members.
Going back to the discussion around NAHB and membership, we do support our local home builder association and helping them identify potential workers for their members. So that's critical to HBI and operating partnerships like we are proposing with pro-literacy and the members with pro-literacy. We bring employers to the table. We have a direct connection with the members of our association and their trade contractors. And it is important to know that the industry, as Steve said, is representative of many different occupations. So we focus on jobs and careers and training for the skilled trades. There are many other occupations that go unfilled, and we help those members of the associations locally meet their training and labor market needs.
Yeah, great. Okay, let's get into HBI. We were established in 1983. As we said, we collaborate with the National Association of Home Builders and builder members in the communities. A little bit more. Oh, we got a little logo overflow here. A little bit about us. We are Job Corps. Job Corps is our largest training program, and that's a U.S. Department of Labor program of which HBI serves as a training contractor. We're in over 70 different markets, training about 150 different trades, or 150 different programs on these Job Corps campuses in the 70-plus markets. So anything from facilities maintenance to carpentry training, to electrical, to groundskeeping, plumbing, those sorts of things. So Dennis's particular area is workforce training and employment. These are sort of departments within HBI. And the takeaway for student chapters to career and certification services, we currently the waterfront, from the adult basic education learner to students that are studying construction management in 2- and 4-year colleges and universities. So pretty robust.
It is very robust, and it's a nice pathway for someone who would start in an entry-level position for opportunities for growth beyond that through pre-apprenticeship, apprenticeship training, going to school at secondary, post-secondary institutions, and joining student chapters. So it's a nice meld of opportunities within the industry and working with Home Builders Institute.
Yeah.
We are recognized in our programming for our best practices. We went through a rigorous certification process through the National Youth Employment Coalition. We've also been recognized by the U.S. Department of Labor for our best practices. It really got underway in a program serving out-of-school at-risk youth, but we apply these best practices for all our programmatic endeavors. We'll get into each one of these a little bit at length.
Yeah. I don't need to take away that we're just a youth-focused organization. Not at all. We work with adult populations of many sizes and kinds. So, and in fact, are proven, through the, recognition through the Department of Labor, the National Youth Employment Coalition. Those have conditioned, the sort of programming that we have for all the populations that we serve. So we definitely, and you'll see, from on our graphics, you'll see youth, and youth would be anywhere from 16 to 24 years old, and well beyond that, certainly, in some of the adult populations we serve. We'll get into some of these specific points later down, so we'll just go on with the PowerPoint.
In the Workforce Training and Employment Department, our mission is to increase the number of workers in the industry through specialized training. And it also includes specialized audiences that we work with. We've worked with the literacy community. We've worked with at-risk adjudicated youth. We've had homeless training programs. We've provided training for people with disabilities. So what we do in Job Corps, we do in the Workforce Training and Employment Department. And our efforts are focused on entry-level residential construction training, or pre-apprenticeship, if you will. We also have what's called National Pattern Standards of Apprenticeship that we have registered with the U.S. Department of Labor. What that does is allow us to go into any location, any state, and set up a pre-apprenticeship and an apprentice program. In our pre-apprenticeship program, we have an industry-validated and certified curriculum called Pre-Apprenticeship Certificate Training. It was vetted through the industry, through end users, that being employers who would hire individuals at the entry-level stage of employment. In the Workforce Training and Employment Department, we serve about 2,200 students, and that includes all the apprenticeship training that I described, as well as mentoring initiative that we have with the U.S. Department of Justice. And you'll see the logo at the bottom right of all the slides, CCOR, and that stands for Construction Coaching Opportunities to Reach Employment. We have we're in about 20 states right now, including the CCOR sites. A few more programs than 36, but we view the mentoring and we view the skills training as all part of our efforts to develop the workforce for the home building industry.
And I think that's really sort of the nexus for where the pro-liberty members and ABE can collaborate. If you think about, and in fact, Dennis reminded me that that he's in particular worked with the Nashville Adult Literacy Council and Meg Nugent, who you may know. You're having a particular audience that through adult basic education services some overlap in terms of what we do, but that's good overlap because then we can take it to the next level in terms of providing skilled training, and then help find employment opportunities for these folks. So that's where the rubber meets the road here.
The Preapprenticeship, it's a segue, Steve,
yeah.
into Preapprenticeship certificate training. Was developed for primarily out of school, high school dropouts, looking at a 5th, 6th, 7th grade reading, writing, mathematics level. It relies upon 20 to 25% classroom instruction. That's where the literacy component falls into play. And then the bulk of the learn happens in the trades by working on community service projects. So as a result of the burgeoning green market, we green curriculum, including a organization and green building component. And who would graduate from a pre-apprenticeship certificate training program would receive the certificate, and really it's their entree, their foot in the door with the construction industry's labor market. And it's recognized by NAHB, as I mentioned. It's validated by NAHB and the members of our association. We ourselves, as the premier entity in providing construction trades training focused on home building residential market. However, in delivering the programs that we have funded by a host of funding sources, we do it on our own. We work with a host of other partners who help in making sure someone is ready for the labor market and is retained in the labor market. So you see a list of partners, and the list goes on and on and on as potential partners for working with us for, providing literacy instruction, providing community-based construction projects, helping with parenting, soft skills, getting driver's license. So the needs of individuals to succeed in the labor market we view as an important part of our program efforts.
You see workforce investment boards here. We talk this great programming, but what fuels the programming is funding. So HBI is a nonprofit. We look to public and private sources of funding to capitalize our program. So the fact that our members that are listening in on this and watching in on this webinar, you're locally based, so you know your workforce investment board. You likely do, and we can jointly approach the WIB with proposals for a literacy ABE / HBI trades training program like the one that Dennis is describing in the PACT program.
Notice in the photograph here some of the students in our program in New Orleans. The funding for that got underway, the National Emergency Grant, and that was in 2006, and it has continued to this day, and it evolved into out-of-school youth formula grant dollars that comes from the Jefferson Parish Workforce Investment Board. So,
and you're on year 5 or 6 on that?
Yeah, so we're in year 6 right now.
That's a good point to mention is that based on HBI's performance, we've been able to re-up, if you will, through the Workforce Investment Board, and that's what we want. I mean, I think that's a beautiful example of a model that we'd like to form with the folks on this call and others that are interested in the literacy community. We can provide a partnership where we either funded through program dollars that might come through, a WIB, just as Dennis was describing in New Orleans, but also through, national agencies that have local ties, like the United Way, like Goodwill Industries, like others that you likely come across. And listen, we're experts. We know how to put together a grant, but we probably have templates, a file cabinet of templates of grants that we put together, and budgets, and we're experts at doing that. Dennis mentioned he has programs in 20 states. The beauty of that and the challenge in that is that requires him to find funding for all those programs. So, we're not suggesting that here's an opportunity for you to find funding for both of us. We would do it together.
I would add that in the workforce investment contracts that we have, particularly in working with youth, we're just rated on the outcomes that we achieve. And one of those in particular in New Orleans, is literacy gains. And we have a partner there, but it would be a great place, or something like this would be a great place for a partnership with pro-literacy members.
Yeah, great.
I mentioned community a while earlier. As I said, the bulk of the learning happens on community-based construction projects. You'll see here in the photograph our students and our staff and our HBA affiliates in New Orleans helped to construct a Habitat for Humanity home, and it was done through the training program that we have. So Habitat or Rebuilding Together or some other nonprofit has to identify or identifies projects that our programs can work on. You know, we're developing the whole person in addition to the trade skills. We want to make sure that the students in our program are ready for the labor market. We like to develop their leadership skills. We do that around building teamwork, about having some of our students who are more advanced to help in the delivery of instruction. We identify class captains. Of our students participate in advisory groups that we establish in all of our programs. And what's really meaningful is for our students to participate in HBA functions. Their monthly general membership meetings, their home and garden shows, their parade homes that the HBA has. And basically, it gets the people involved, it gets our students involved with others involved in the home building industry.
Yeah, we're a nexus for that.
Hallmark, my background with HBI started in placing graduates from our Job Corps program, and the same mentality goes across all programs for HBI. What good is the training unless there's a job resulting in the end? So, as I mentioned early on, we have the connections with the local home building industry and the membership base there. Work with unions to identify apprenticeship opportunities. It's all about the individuals achieving success and achieving a job in the labor market. So we'll work with them in identifying employers. We take the students to job interviews. We'll coach them before they go into the interviews, but we connect them with the labor market. I mentioned again early on that we do a great job in training, but without our partners, our program and efforts and success would not be achievable. So, we do the trades training. We like to include life and basic and literacy and employability skills. Where needed, we'll teach Spanish speakers use of English using Sed de Saber. Some of the populations that we serve with substance abuse issues, so we'll identify parties who can provide services to help in that area. Academic improvement is very important. We have third-party evaluations of our program and have found that through the use of our partnership and the use of our curriculum, in the 16 to 26 weeks that we work with the students, we can raise their grade levels 2 to 3 levels. So all these services are important to make a full comprehensive program.
You guys mentioned the Sed de Saber program, ESL. In talking to some of the folks at Pro Literacy and Learning at US Cal, more than 50%, I think, is our understanding of the Pro Literacy members are serving a Hispanic or dealing with an ESL clientele. The Sed de Saber program is a program that teaches construction terminology, English language skills to understand safety, job site scenarios, job site terminology. Very important training for working in the construction sector, because it's well documented through the Bureau of Labor Statistics, through OSHA, through the Department of Labor, that Hispanics have the highest accidents and injury rates on job sites. So we build a product, the Sed de Saber platform. It stands for Thirst for Knowledge, to help really foster English language skills so you understand the hazards, directions, instructions, terminology on the job site. So in addition to the ESL and ABE services that the folk at call would provide. That's a supplemental service. So, and those system, it's an actual individualized system where the user uses it on their own time to study. That can be combined with the ABE instruction through the literacy member. Some follow-up services as well.
I would just say let the pig tell the story right here.
Yeah, that's true.
Many, if not most, of the folks that we work with have achieved any academic credentials. They are high school dropouts. They haven't received their GED or high school diploma. So we'd like to recognize their achievements by completing PAC curriculum and getting a job. For each one of the programs we have, we'll have a graduation ceremony. Some may not be as formal as what you see here, but we do like to do it upright with a graduation ceremony, pomp and circumstance. We really honor the students for their achievements and helping them get on their way with achieving success in a job. So just a very, very important picture right there.
Yeah.
C-Corps, I mentioned a little bit. It's an industry-focused mentoring program. We subscribe to the friendship model of mentoring, but our program is much different in that we match young people in our Department of Justice program with adults from the industry. And these adults could be from the multiplicity of jobs and careers that are representative of the home building industry. We want to open up the eyes and ears and minds of young people as to the jobs and careers that are offered in our industry. We're not judged by placement, but if we can get young people involved in the industry, we're happy. We're happy for the young people. We work with at-risk, court-involved, and underserved youth. We recently got approval to work with younger girls and boys from 13 to 18 years old. In the course of 3 years, we're now in our third year of this U.S. Department of Justice grant. We will have served 5,000 young people and matching them with 1,600 coaches, as we refer to adults. The location served by our C-Corps program, 10 states, 28 locations that we are operating C-Corps. And basically, we're looking to help youth that are in our youth build programs and our Job Corps programs and our WTE programs.
Yeah, and you look at this map, there are a lot more stars on this map in terms of the Job Corps programming that we have. So we really have nationwide coverage. And, going back to the beginning part of the presentation, we have connects through the local home builder associations. So we're a national organization, but our programming is on the ground and locally based in the communities where you are.
We are absolutely in every state, in all 50 states, through our connections with the HBAs. As far as HBI goes, through our Job Corps, WTE, and student chapters, we are actually in 48 states right now.
Yeah. Great.
We've established over the course of the 3 years industry-wide best practices. We worked with a group called Mentor in Alexandria, Virginia, who's a national champion of mentoring, to help us establish these best practices. Our goal is to increase the number of employers who participate in mentoring activities, and it's a longitudinal goal for them to consider that the people as a way to alleviate some of these skilled labor shortages. We establish industry advisory groups, and we, just like the other training programs that I mentioned, having partnerships are key for the success of this program.
Yeah.
Let's go on to the next. We've done enough on C-Corps.
I think that's it, really, honestly. We're happy to take questions. I think, we can give you one takeaway, and what we'd like to do is follow up with you all. David, who's hosting our call here today, send you our contact information and some details about our programs, like the PACT program that serves as the basis for a lot of dentists' training. But the takeaway we want to have here is that you are ground. You're community. You're serving your communities, and there are sources that we can jointly identify. Maybe it's Catholic Charities, maybe it's a local United Way agency, maybe it's a Goodwill agency, maybe it's certainly the Workforce Investment Board. If we find opportunities for training, workforce development, and adult basic education services combined, we put together a proposal, and very quickly, and in fact, within 60 days, probably be up and running.
We can have a program up and running. The other partners that HBI has for funding would include state departments of juvenile justice. We work with the Department of Corrections. We work with and have contracts with the Department of Children and Families, Steve mentioned the Workforce Investment Board. So all those are possibilities for us developing a partnership with the members of pro-literacy.
Yeah. Nope. Yeah. So there we go in terms of if we have any questions. David,
you can
kick in here.
You can click on the hand icon to raise your hand. You'll see mine is raised. And then call on you, and I'll unmute you. And then you can lower your hand once the question's been answered. You can type it in the chat field, and you can send it to analysts, or you can send it to an individual person if you'd like to. If you want to remain anonymous, you can send it to me, and I'll read it as well. And you can see this is what happens when the question isn't answered. It shows up above. And then not seeing anything in the panels, you might need to click on one of the panels to open or close it. So you can click on the participant to see who's all there, or you can click on the question or chat feature to see who's there. So I'll go ahead, and if anybody has a question, go ahead and raise your hand, and I'll mute you, and we can ask or Steve one of those questions.
You have to have a dialogue. If I don't know if you can unmute everyone, or it's up to, we're happy to take it, have an exchange in any way.
Be a lot of background noise if I unmute everybody at once.
Okay. Yeah, that's right. Might be
yeah. We usually pick up a lot of background noise, so it's a little easier one at a time. Well, one question about the SED2SEVERE curriculum. Can you talk just a little bit more about that? I've heard quite a bit about it, but I was really interested to hear a little bit more about it.
In fact, we have a partnership with Pro-Literacy. In fact, they have an inventory of the SED2SEVERE program, and it's a program that HBI created and paid for. It's on the Leapfrog learning platform, learning technology platform. Leapfrog is used in children's and adults games to foster learning. So there's 7 books that comprise the platform, and they're made electronic by a cartridge that you put in, and it's brought to life, and it allows a person, somebody that doesn't have any English language skills, and it's for Hispanic, Spanish-speaking audiences, and also somebody that has limited English proficiency, no English language skills, to use the program and study from book to book to book, to graduate from book to book to book, to learn basic English language skills with a specific focus on the construction sector. So it's written in a novella style, which certainly is popular in terms of, culturally very popular with the Hispanic constituency. And we brought in subject matter experts from the industry to condense it. So it really is construction industry specific. But you learn English language skills, from telling time to scheduling to planning, and then safety lessons are embedded throughout. So it allows the user to practice their pronunciation. It has a playback feature. A Leapfrog is a very interactive system. Leapfrog technology allows it to be a very interactive system. So you can record. It prompts you to record your pronunciation of a particular sentence. It chunks words out of sentences. It allows, if I needed to rehearse a phrase for 100 times, it allows you to do that. So it's a good instructional aid on top of the literacy services that a local member would provide. And Pro-Literacy has a number of these systems that we lend to not but give to the pro-agency member in a training circumstance like we've described on the webinar for them to use in their training. It's supplemental to the adult basic education services that are already provided, that we understand are already provided.
I have a follow-up question to that, and then a separate question as well that somebody chatted in. This one said, can you write the name of this curriculum? Is it only available on the Leapfrog device, or is it separate books?
It's the Said to Saber is it's its own curriculum, if you will. So it's not separate from the Leapfrog technology, if that's the question. But it's one. It's contained in a case. It's sort of self-contained. So we've seen it used. We've used it in. Dennis has a program where he's teaching training, and he has somebody that has limited English proficiency. They'll use it on the side. They'll take it home. In fact, use it. You can use it with earphones. You can use it like a speakerphone. It's audible that way. So it's self-contained, and would be in addition to what the literacy member is providing, and in addition to the packed instruction that Dennis described.
Thanks. And then I have another question, and then somebody has their hand up too, and I'll get to the next question. There was one, are you interested in developing programs with small literacy BOs, 100 students a year, or just larger organizations like community colleges?
Not at all. We want to work with that small community-based organization is sort of the sweet spot in terms of delivering programming at the local level. Without question, we want to work with those organizations.
It's typical of what we do. We train each year in a local community-based program like Steve described and you described, Dave, 30 to 40 individuals.
Yeah.
Depending on the audience will depend on the length of training, but as I said earlier, 16 to 26 weeks is a close amount of time for someone to complete the PAC curriculum. We're a journey-level trade instructor to do the training. Depending on the funding availability and the amount, we would hire a project coordinator to coordinate efforts with our literacy members and other community partners. The person would also be responsible for doing the job development and placement components of a PAC curriculum. But, 20, 30 individuals is not unheard of for us to help train in place. We
did this in Houston, and we worked with two literacy they were part of the Literacy Powerline group, but I believe they're pro-literacy members. In fact, they were at USCal, where we set up a training site, and both literacy organizations, being a large metropolitan area, provided students to our program. So absolutely, that's a great question. I don't want anybody to think that we won't work with a small organization. That's really the backbone of our partnerships at the local level.
Mary Beth Kelly Lowe had her hand up, but took it down. Do you still have a question, Mary Beth? I've unmuted you. Or did your question, Mary Beth? It's a good question. Okay, a second one that we had about Said to Saber was, how much does it cost?
Said to Saber would be covered it's actually free of charge at this point. I think there's a shipping and handling charge, but it's free of charge. So that's the answer right there. And we vision, in the thing of these programs that Said to Saber would be part of that. So I know Pro Literacy has a number of systems in storage in Syracuse or in the warehouse. So the Said to Saber program comes with very little strings attached. It's sort of a plug-and-play scenario.
Okay. And then next question said, how do we go about finding the local contact for our area?
Well, actually, come through us. Come through Dennis and me, and that's what we want to do. Is we'll follow up with you through emails, David, that you can provide. That's how we may be in Washington, but our engagement is at the community level. So and Dennis specializes in finding those opportunities, and we're happy to have chats with everyone on this call and more about researching opportunities at the local level. So that we would be the contacts. And let me provide you with our contact information. Steve Kramer, Kramer. At my email is thank you. Thanks, Dave. Thanks for advancing that. Yeah, there's our contact information, and then our website as well. See Mary Beth's question here. My question was about small CBOs and how we should take the next step in western Wisconsin. All right, Mary Beth, we want to hear from you. That's the next step.
We would be open to making joint presentations, perhaps a personal visit as well with some potential partners in this endeavor.
You have a lot of experience in working with CBOs to find funding, and whereas we may be a national organization, our programming is locally based, so we need to find folks like the Pro-C members on the ground that can help us. It helps us legitimize ourselves locally, our programming locally.
I've got another question here.
I hope that answers your question. Mary said, yeah, we're looking at Wisconsin. Yep, absolutely. We'd love to talk to you about opportunities there. And I guess what it is we need to engage with each of you to talk about learn a little bit more about your membership, who you're serving, the population you're serving, some of the relationships you have in the community, and we can brainstorm together to figure out what sort of programming might be appropriate there.
Mm-hmm. I see a question. I'm a little bit removed from Steve's desk here, but about OVAE.
Yeah.
HBI has had a grant from the Feds, the Department of Education, Office of Adult Education, work with people with disabilities.
Yes.
And some of those have been learning disabilities. It could be veterans with PTSD. It could be other cognitive issues as well. But we have the 2 contracts with Department of Education under what's called Projects with Industry. One in Columbia, South Carolina, and one was in Denver. And in both those cases, we had local partners. It was a local program, even though we were a national applicant. We had partners. We developed partners at the local level to deliver the training and academic services and case management and counseling and the like.
Yeah, we're, to Mary Beth's question, we got a lot of funding out of the federal government, and particularly the Department of Labor, but we're known and have contacts within, various agencies, whether it's, HUD or Department of Education, and certainly the Department of Labor, Department of Justice. So, the fact that we're tied to a national trade association, the fact that we're a national organization, the fact that, we have curriculum that's been reviewed and approved, if you will, by the Department of Labor. We've got, a lot of cred in, if you will, in Washington. So, Mary Beth, we look forward to hearing from you for sure.
Another question, too, that someone typed in asking, are learners required to be trackable by Social Security numbers, or is the program open to any learners?
That curriculum, there's a level of understanding of fractions and whole numbers and the like. So 4th or 5th grade is pretty much the minimum level. If someone doesn't have that achieved level, we'll refer them out to other students, other services. As far as undocumented students, we haven't had an issue there.
We haven't.
We haven't any.
It certainly depends on the funding source as well. If you're looking at federal funds, they may require documentation that way, but we found, not that we found ways around that, but it hasn't been a particular issue.
It's not been a problem.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, so good that you can work around that.
But again, it's just, yeah, absolutely. It's just getting a feel for. The best all out of this webinar is for us to connect and learn about each other, and then we can sort of get scrappy and and try to find some programming elements that would work, and then find some funding sources.
If somebody contacted you after this, then what steps did they go through then to get a program up and running in their local area?
Well, I think, contact us through email, and we can schedule a time to talk, explore opportunities. We may have programming nearby. We may have programming models that would just apply to the circumstance, the situation in the community, the population that the pro-lit member is serving. And I think we brainstorm and then identify sort of next steps. Might have contacts. The local member may have contacts within, funding sources. My gosh, if we, best scenario, let's say, we find a handful of local members and we go to a national charitable organization, see if we can get funding model that would include, 5 different affiliates. Or members and ABI. That's big ticket, big sky thinking. But it could take on a number of forms. But I think we just need to interact with one another.
Knowing where the interest lies would help us in potentially work together to identify fund sources. As Steve said, we may be in a location or maybe in a particular state where the interest lies. We have our Home Builder Association executive officers who we can go to, so we can build some contacts to build a funding base for a partnership.
Yeah.
Do you go to local community foundations when you're looking for that funding?
We have, I mentioned the New Orleans program. We also had funding. It was a planning grant to develop a reentry program. The planning grant was funded by Baptist Community Ministries, and it was an application that Home Builders Institute put in with the organization and with the foundation. So we're in that area too.
Looks like we have a question from Ian. Could you give some more details about the different kinds of programming models? That wasn't just an example, actually. And what's the range of roles that a collaborating literacy program could play?
The kinds of programs in some of our job descriptions, and this is in jest, to come with acronyms for our programs. One of them is Project Trade, Training, Restitution, Apprenticeship Development, and Education, and it's our program to serve ex-offenders. We have Project Craft, Community Restitution, Apprenticeship-Focused Training, and it is to serve juvenile offenders. We have Building Opportunities for Positive Employment. It's a homeless training program. They vary only slightly in the population that we're serving. And going back to the partners, we'd like to have people in literacy, people to help in developing the community contacts for projects.
We need people to recruit students.
Students.
Yeah, the members could serve as a through the constituents that they serve in their local literacy programs. That's the student base for us.
Exactly. So, there are many different roles that pro-literacy members can serve, in addition to providing some remediation services. We partner with organizations to provide case management and counseling to deliver the education and remediation services.
And that's where the member could come in.
And that's where we envision the member to come into play in partnering with HBI.
The PACT program that Dennis, whether it's Project Craft or Trade, these are sort of our internal names for programs. The PACT program serves as the basis for that. And Dennis, that's anywhere from 12 to 14 weeks?
Well, 16.
Okay.
It could be 12. It's an open entry, skilled exit. So it's based on the individual's proficiencies and the particular aspects required of certification. Young person, it would take longer because that person may not have been in the labor market, the maturity level. It could be 12 to 16 weeks because they may have the experience working in general or working in the building trades and just need to skills as it relates to the craft that they've chosen.
Yeah, I think there are definite roles that we both can play, and we would look at this as a true partnership where one is not heavier than the other. I mean, there's intensive literacy counseling and instruction that you can provide to prepare students for the training program HBI would provide. So we'll figure out time frame that's involved, the interaction between the two programs, how they stay connected through, let's say, after a several month period of literacy training, whatever it may be, and they start the HBI training. There's going to be interaction between the two, and there should be. There should be remediation. In the Houston project I mentioned, the literacy member involved throughout the process, the trades training process. It's definitely a collaborative model.
Steve mentioned Meg Nugent in Nashville. In a funding source, there was some money that went to a National Adult Literacy Council, and she provided remediation. Her staff provided remediation services where we're dealing with a youthful offender population who were 18 to, I think, 29 at the time of the grant, and she raised the level of their academic achievement. And that was done also in conjunction with us delivering the trades training. Part and parcel of the Preapprenticeship certificate training curriculum is called Packed Math, and it's the numeracy piece to our curriculum. And identified or you packed math curriculum to her avail and coordinated with her services that she provides. So Steve said there's any number of roles that a member could take, and we're working with us delivering the training programs.
Hopefully helps answer Jane's question.
If we get any more questions, I don't see any hands up, and we don't have any more questions in the chat feature. I'd like to thank you both, Dennis and Steve, for your time today and talking with us.
Hey, David, I saw an email from Jenny Kelly, who's on the call. So way to go! All right, we got our first interactivity here.
Oh, great! That's wonderful. And I'll do too for everybody on the phone right now is we've been recording this, so you'll get a copy of the link so you can watch this again, and also contact information for Steve and for Dennis so that you can contact them if you'd like to work on this together. And we'll be following up with you, or Dennis and Steve will be following up with you. Thank you for attending today as well. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, David, for hosting us. This is great.
David.
We want to do more of this with your membership.
Thanks to all the members for being on the call as well. We look forward to working with you all.
Cool, and have a great rest of the week.
Bye.